So it's now been a year since I made my last State of the Collection video, and how things have changed. Of course though, I've made some mistakes. I've sold some watches I should have kept, and I've even bought and sold the same watch since my last State of the Collection video. In fact, I've even bought another Panzer Aquamarine and sold it again, as well as buying a rotary Henley GMT, which I also previously owned. But I'll come to that later. I don't want to focus too much on the watches I sold that perhaps I shouldn't have, but briefly here are a few, but there are more. The 38mm Christopher Ward C60 Trident, a great dive watch, and the only reason I sold it is because I owned a Yema that looked similar. Guess what? I sold that as well. I love the Islander ISL 131 with its white linen dial, but when I saw an even better replacement, it got flipped very quickly. Finally, my Tissot Courtier, which I almost bought again, and kinda wish I had. Other than my golf watch and investment Rolex, my watches live in a 30 slot box with 3 drawers. Being the sad individual I am, they're laid out according to type and size. The top drawer are for my divers. The second drawer is my 5 GMT watches, 3 pilot watches and 2 field watches. Finally, the third and bottom drawer is for my sports watches, which includes sporty dress watches and dressy sports watches. If there is anything you have seen and you'd like to know more about, please leave your comments below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, and I always do. So in no particular order, let's have a look at what I bought this year. Of course, I won't cover any watch in great detail because they have all been reviewed quite comprehensively already. First up is my Atticus Meteora, a watch I absolutely love, and as it happens it's my watch of the day. For a short time I owned an Islander watch with a white linen dial, but when this became available I just couldn't help myself. The silver linen dial is just gorgeous, and the build quality is fantastic. For those of you who don't know, Atticus are a sort of sister brand to MTH. This is my Proxima 1697. It pays tribute to Christopher Ward watch, but it's far from a direct copy. In actual fact, it's even a few millimetres smaller. I'd watched a few reviews on this watch, and when this became available I pressed the button. I bought this very good used one for only £185, and considering the specification, I consider that a great bargain. I was browsing eBay one day with only minutes to spare on an auction. This one was looking a bargain. I had little time to do any homework and bid at the last moment, getting this for under £300. The original strap was a soft leather tan strap and in good condition, but I felt this green crop one makes it a little bit more interesting. Now, like all Chris Ward watches, it's beautifully made. The Ixtauan iPose 5303. Now this is a watch I think all enthusiasts should consider adding to their collection, and it comes in a few colour options with a choice of movements. I opted for the PT 5000 because it was the cheapest, and fundamentally it's the same as the other two. Okay, it's pretty much a clone of the Sirica 5303, but as that is a little known watch I don't have an issue wearing it. The owners of the brand are real enthusiasts and wanted to make a watch as good as the original but for considerably less money. Believe me, from top to tail, this watch is absolutely incredible, and I suggest you watch my full length video if it appeals to you. I owned a Steinhardt 42 and 39mm version of this watch, which I don't have to tell you is a homage to a very old watch made famous by Steve McQueen. Other than the better movement in the Steinhardt, I actually prefer this version, primarily because of the larger unguarded crown and the brushed sides. These are a bargain for what you get, and it even has an on-the-fly adjustment. Oh, I forgot to say, it's a Seastern Vintage GMT. There were some very good reviews about this watch. Unless you've been living on Mars, you'll know it's a San Martin Vintage Diver. I was originally looking for a black version, but when this burnt orange one became available at a bargain price, I snapped it up. It's got the Orient YN55 movement inside it, which I prefer to the NH35, and just about every aspect of this watch is well made. I particularly love the compact dimensions with its 38mm case. Certainly from an aesthetical viewpoint, I think this watch is outstanding. It's my first and only Marn, and this is the Greenwich GMT. The company is owned by two Dutch guys living in Sweden, or is it the other way around? However, the watch is made in Switzerland, has a Swiss stick movement, but all their watches have a New York theme. These aren't particularly cheap, but what Swiss made watch is? I wouldn't be surprised if you haven't seen one of these before. It's the Steinhardt Vintage Marine 38. It's got an ETA 2824 inside it, and it's got a ceramic dial. It's one of the few Steinhardt watches that isn't a homage, and to my knowledge doesn't share its 38mm case with any of their other watches. As you can see, I replaced a stock leather strap with this nice blue ostrich print, which I think matches the hands. I think this one is a real eye catcher. At present, this is one of my favourites, especially because of the colourful GMT bezel, which by the way is made of sapphire. It's the Batavi Cosmopolite. Inside it's got a Swiss sob rod movement that runs with incredible accuracy. And my review on this watch is the only one that doesn't review a prototype. I'm still a little bit uncertain about the polished tops of the lugs, but you can't have everything. When I reviewed this watch, I described it as possibly the best value for money originally designed diver, although the one I reviewed was black. Shortly after buying it, I bought the blue purple dialed version and moved the black one on straight away. It was designed and marketed by Gary and his friend James over at the I Like Watches channel, and in most respects it got it pretty spot on. In my opinion, the watch's highlight is its tapering engineer bracelet. Now it's a 38mm watch, but it wears a tad larger. This is the rotary Henley GMT, and it's a great value for money beater. I bought a new one about 9 months ago, was gifted another beater, so sold it shortly afterwards. For reasons I won't go into, I no longer have that beater, so I rebought a used version of this rotary. It's got a sapphire crystal, a great lume, and a very accurate quartz GMT movement. I later replaced the original oyster bracelet with its butterfly clasp for this engineer bracelet, which I think suits it very well. These are still available and can be picked up at excellent prices. Finally, my Axios Tribune. This originally came on a very good Horween black leather strap, but I've replaced it with this Harris Tweed strap, which I believe looks fantastic. Axios are a sister brand to Zelos, and their watches are made to an incredible standard. The case finishing on this is absolutely top notch. It's described as a dress watch, although I would say it's more like a hybrid between a dress watch and a sports watch. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a lume, but I can forgive it for that based on its damn good looks. Well, I think so anyway. So in conclusion, it's been a pretty busy year. In fact, I've sold no less than 19 watches in total and bought 17. Unfortunately, because of the very slow market at the moment, I've put a hold on selling or buying any watches, so hopefully things are going to pick up shortly. Now that brings me to the end of this review, so if you've enjoyed it, please click on the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, leave your comments below, and enjoy the rest of your day. Once again, if you've any questions about any of my watches, just leave it in the comments below.